Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton. Do you know, people often ask, how is there a God? Does God exist? Or they don't believe in God. I want to just explain to you how I know that God exists. Two of my favourite flowers are roses and sunflowers. There's just something spectacular about them. For instance, a sunflower will grow pretty much anywhere. I'm sure you've all been driving along a highway and seen some beautiful, tall, waving sunflowers just growing on the side of the road randomly. They're able to self-seed themselves. They require very little attention, a little bit of water, and off they go. They just grow. And I love the way their faces, the whole bloom of their face follows the sun each day, keeping their eye on the light, so to speak. It reminds me of us keeping our eye on the light of Hashem in all we do throughout our day. Sunflowers provide many things, and also farmers who are trying to break ground in a new paddock where they want to sow some crops, they will often plough and plant a crop of sunflowers first off, because they have big long root systems. They help break up the soil, they let the air in, they nourish the soil, and they're a wonderful crop just to prepare the soil for another crop of some other species. The birds live off their seeds. Artists have painted them for years. Photographers take photos. There's something quite ethereal about a sunflower. Roses are different. They take a fair amount of time to establish them. They require a lot of attention. You have things like aphids, various bugs that come and chew the leaves and the flower bud. They require mulching the plant around the base of it. Then, of course, you've got to water them the correct amount. You have to keep weeds out, and there's certain plants that they don't particularly like growing with either. So there is quite a bit of groundwork to do with the new rose bush. And then, of course, you have the thorns. And that teaches us we have to be very careful and cautious. And no matter how careful and cautious we are, sometimes one thorn breaks through and strikes us. And we have to step back and think, oh, start again, a little bit more cautious. So that process goes on for some time, and then eventually you go out one morning and here's one tiny little bud starting to form, and you watch it closely, and then eventually the petal, the bud opens, and you get to see the whole petals unfolding, and of course they fill the air with their glorious perfume. So they're two different plants, and they have two different pathways. So what can we learn from those flowers? Well, our life can be a combination of both the sunflower and the rose. Like the sunflower, sometimes things just go very smoothly, patiently progressing, uneventful, and we reach a target or reach our goal or whatever our task is at the time. And other times our life can change and be like the rose. It can be prickly and we suffer setbacks, and we have to be extra cautious and pay a lot of attention to what we're doing, especially attention to detail. And then eventually that reward or that goal comes to fruition, just as the bud opens out and sheds its perfume everywhere. So Hashem is everywhere. He's with you and me all the time, everywhere we go. There's no such thing as hiding in the dark from Hashem. We can't stick our head under a pillow and say, God can't see me. It just doesn't work like that. So how do I know that God is with me and you every moment of the day and night? Well, it's beautiful things like the sunflower and the beautiful rose bush. It's those tiny little pansy faces peeping up at me in a garden bed. How can there not be a God when you look? And each little face is different. They're all different. A puppy's breath. Oh, that delicious smell of a little puppy when it breathes on you. What about the velvet of a horse's nose? Isn't that just unbelievable? There's nothing like it anywhere. Once you've touched that, you can't replicate that touch. And another thing, just watching cows babysitting the calves of other cows. If you've ever been driving along somewhere, perhaps you live in the city, you don't live on a farm or in a country rural area, just take notice. If you see one cow and then the other mob of cows off in the distance or walking somewhere, you may be lucky enough to see her with a whole bunch of little tiny calves. They're probably all lying down sleeping. Now they have an intelligence in that herd that one cow, maybe there's two sometimes if it's a lot of calves, will stay and watch those baby calves while the other cows go off and looking for feed or going, particularly if they're going to the watering hole. So they leave their little calves, they go off and do that, and then of course as 2 or 3 others come back, then the others go and they rotate. It's an amazing thing. It really is incredible to see. So how can those things happen? It's just not random, is it? There are so many things going on in nature and around us every day that really are just wondrous. There's no other way to describe it. I want to give you another example. Many years ago when my 3 sons were very little, we had a cockatoo and he could talk a bit, not a great talker, but he could. And my youngest son was somewhat of an escape artist. He could disappear in the blink of an eye. So we were constantly always saying, "Where's Rhett? Where's Rhett?" His 2 older brothers would do the same. As soon as he was out of eyesight, we'd be saying, "Where's Rhett? Where's Rhett?" And eventually, of course, the cockatoo learnt this phrase. And we soon realised that the moment Rhett got outside and started approaching the gate, the garden gate, Cocky would start, "Where's Rhett? Where's Rhett? Where's Rhett?" It took us a little while to work it out, but he knew. He put that scenario together. He knew that when he saw Rhett and he looked about as though he was marching out, he'd call out, "Where's Rhett? Where's Rhett?" Now, how can there not be a God? You tell me, how can there not be a God when we witness these sort of things in our lives? I'm sure you've all got wonderful stories and impressions that make you feel this way as well. God does exist. There's never been any doubt in my mind. The evidence is everywhere. And I think it's time we started to sometimes, instead of waiting for the great big sign or the great big miracle of life or the great big idea to happen, just take time to look at those simple things, your favourite flower, how animals react with each other, nature, a bird building its nest, that intricate weaving it does. There cannot be any other explanation than that God's creation has caused all this. His hand, He has created everything, and the signs are there. Just have to take time to have a look and really think about it. I just want to remind you all that the Power of Prayer live session is on each Thursday night, Israel time. Thursday 2 p.m. I beg your pardon, Israel time, and there is a link on my website where you can watch it live, or you can see the recorded event later. So Devorah Sinton and myself co-host that each Thursday night, so we hope to see you there. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I thank you very much for watching. And remember, Hashem's presence is everywhere. Just take a look. God bless.